I am next.
And I wanted to get yourself in just because I've worked with you. Just obviously, I am next booking agent, whatever. Got a very good relationship with you. You're a solid guy, as well. And I just feel like you have also a good insight into what's been happening. Obviously, you look after a bunch of artists, and you have an insight into how COVID's affected them and how people have adapted and moved forwards from booking agents, promoters, and managers, artists to the venues and etc. And yeah, the conversation is just gonna literally be like, what was the impact of COVID on booking agent side at first? Like, so when COVID first came into place, how did COVID affect UTA or yourself as well as a man who does what he does?
Yeah, well, I guess the first things first is when it hit Asia in early January.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of felt like, I mean, we've kind of been there before with bird flu, swine flu. So I guess there's a bit of an overriding feeling of, oh, this will just come and go. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. I thought at first as well, I was like, this is going to be light. It'll be here for 3 months. We'll be back outside, turning up the shows. It's crazy.
That's it. I mean, everyone was just kind of thinking, all right, this is just going to be isolated in China for a bit and then we'll be getting on with things. But I think as time went on and maybe getting into February time and you started getting like heavy cases in Italy and other places in Europe, there definitely started to be a sense of like, okay, maybe this is going to affect us as well. And obviously we had you would have had shows going on around those times. We had shows going on around those times, and we were still doing them because that's it. People were moving forwards, but it started to feel like things were just getting closer and closer and closer. And I think it was probably late February, early March.
Yeah, when it was lockdown, that was the first. You heard of it.
Yeah, but I mean, even before that, we started having like our sort of number 10 daily briefings at work. Every day we're having a meeting about COVID. And we're talking about where's the restrictions. There was restrictions starting all over Europe. There was, because people on European tours at the time, do you know what I mean? There was artists who were out in Europe and having to travel between Germany, Austria, Italy and whatever, where cases were rising. So
it affected Europe first and then came to us. Like, I remember that on the news, they were like, because Italy had the mad thing. They were going through the highest rate at that time. So they're like, yeah, we're going to lock off Italy. And I think just at that time, Fashion Week was about to begin. And people were like, yeah, no Fashion Week in Italy. No Milan Fashion Week. People were like, what's this? Do you get what I mean? And even in the UK, like, the last show I did was the G4 Boys show. Yeah. And then I attended Sam's headline show, which was like the last show I ever been to. Even then it was like, there was the risk of that even being cancelled, and that was like early March, if I'm right.
It's March 13th, Sam.
Yeah.
And that was literally probably the last show before COVID. It was Friday night, and then I think on Monday we went into full lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember even that day, or like the days leading up, there was like, the Prime Minister was doing these things every day saying, there's these restrictions, the schools are closing, etc. So I remember calling Gilo, Sam's manager, daily saying like, look, we have to be prepared that this might get pulled. And he was like, this is not getting pulled.
Yeah, the show must go on. I remember Gilo saying, it's not happening, we have to make this happen.
He was like, this is not getting pulled. And honestly, I didn't really share his optimism. I was thinking, look, this is probably going to get pulled. Because it was it was a 900 cap show.
Yeah.
So fortunately it didn't, and was the best show of the year as well, and the last show of the year, and the last show until now. So
yeah,
I mean, it was a good way to sign off. You was there as well.
Epic amazing show, man. Shout out Sam with the headline as well. And that was an amazing time. It feels so long ago as well.
It's nearly a year.
Yeah, nearly a year and a bit actually. It's a year and a bit, because almost in February, and like COVID touched down like November 2019. Like it was like, do you get what I mean? But yeah, and the other thing was, so dealing with the initial first lockdown that we went through, because I feel like we've been through 3 lockdowns already. So dealing with the first lockdown, how was it that booking agents, managers, and other people on the event side of the industry, because I can talk about promoters, but the other parts to the event side, how were they dealing with it? Because you're most probably dealing with booking agents who are you're the booking agent sorting out tours, you're dealing with venues who are holding dates, you're dealing with promoters as well. So how was the first adjustment of, you get me?
Well, I think at that time, there was like, what was it? It was 3 months to flatten the curve. So at that point, everyone was kind of thinking, all right, well, we'll just move the shows into the autumn.
Yeah, word.
So like, you would have had the same thing. Everyone was just moving them over to the autumn, tours were moving to the autumn, and we were kind of thinking, all right, hopefully these will just go ahead. As time started to go by, as things started to progress, we all started to think, actually, yeah, and that was the start of 3, 4, sometimes 5 moves. And, now some of those tours that were supposed to happen in April, May 2020, we're moving again now to
December 2021.
late this year, early next year. So I mean, it's just been, that's been a lot of the job has been to just stay on the buttons and move, try and hold the dates in advance of, and to try and preempt the fact that things might not be able to happen, and hold backup plans for the artist's sake. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't want to get caught slipping and your artists not have availability, because obviously there's been a rush for veils. Like everyone's like, oh, we need these venues held, and essentially, yeah, just a backlog and a bottleneck of shows in one period, and then moved again and again. So a lot of our job has been to make sure that the artists that we're working with have actually got backup dates held in case it has to move again.
Yeah, well, because even for myself, like, I was locking in tours and even doing other things behind the scenes with artists and locking in shows for them, and it was like, I was looking at days in like middle of summer. Yeah, we'll be back out by summer. Nah. Okay.
I remember speaking to you and you saying that.
Yeah, I was optimistic. I was so optimistic until it got to middle of summer, and I was just like, yeah, this is dead. Like, this is dead. Like, we're not moving nowhere. And then I was just like, cool. So I was moving shows from like your summer dates, June, July, August, to like November, December with Hope. I dropped a show with Lucky, and I was even hoping, yeah, cool, we're going to move it. I had a show with Pierre Bourne, yeah, we're going to have that in December. It's lit, we'll be back out here, like nothing happened tomorrow. And then just as you watching the news, it was like, okay, we're going into lockdown even more, like shops are closing at this time. Then it was like, okay, they're easing the restrictions and everyone was out here in summer. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll be back soon. And then obviously I'm connecting with you guys and other promoters that I work with and booking agents, and they're just like, you have to look at Europe before we look at us.
That's it.
Do you get what I mean? You have to look at where affected first and then work your way in. And I started doing that, and then that's when I started realising this shit is not going nowhere for now.
Trust, yeah, and that's kind of it. It was like we were kind of looking to Italy and Spain. Spain locked down before us. There was other countries that locked down before us. So, like you say, it was looking at the other countries first to see whether they were coming back. Obviously, we could have optimism in ourselves, but if you're looking at these countries where they had a number of cases first and they had to lock down, and then they're still not back, then you're starting to think, okay, maybe. But on the flip side now, it's interesting because the UK probably is now, the rest of Europe's probably looking to us in terms of who's going to get back first because of the vaccine rollout, and because it seems to be like progress here in Europe, in England first, and in the UK first, as opposed to in Europe where there's a bit of a lag and a bit of a delay on all of that. So I think now the rest of Europe is looking to the UK to see when we can get things back based on the vaccine rollout and based on shows coming back safely, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Shout out everyone who's locked in on Clubhouse right now as well. We got Patrick in the building, big guy from Dice FM Ticketing Company. We're going to most probably head over to him and chat to him about how COVID affected him and ticketing platforms a bit later on. But if you just tuned in, I'm in the building with James from UTA, a booking agency. And yeah, man, we're just discussing how things have, COVID especially, has affected the live industry and what it is looking like for the future, and how people obviously started to adjust to COVID being here. My other question would be, so cool, the time when COVID hit and everyone's doing the moves, what was artists and management hitting you guys up for regarding help? Because a lot of artists' bread and butter is live. So obviously we were speaking before, and you were mentioning brand partnerships and these kind of things, and there was loads of things going on during that first long spread of lockdown that people were doing just to make money, and there's stuff that I was seeing artists do and other things. But from your side,
well, do you remember there was that like flurry of artists just doing stuff on Insta Live, Facebook Live and stuff like that? Like everyone was just doing something from their bedroom. And I mean, remember speaking to some artists who were like, I'm not doing that. That's not for me. And I understand it. It was working for some people. It wasn't working for others. And I think what everyone would agree with is it became a load, like way too much of that stuff happening.
Oversaturated.
That was it. And that was the kind of first reaction to it. But then, yeah, as you say, after that, as an agency, what can we do for our artists while they're not working? And brand partnerships was a big part of that. We've got a team that started out of LA with Tony Wallace and Alison Blood. Shout out them, yeah. All female brand partnerships team. We've got Cleo here in the UK. and they've been working so super hard. They've probably been overworked if anything. But 300 brand deals I think since COVID started. They've locked in, and that's included here in the UK from Cleo's side, Arlo Parks, Gucci, AJ Tracy, Louis Vuitton I think it was. But yeah, just kind of trying to keep the artists busy, keep the artists working, trying to make them some money whilst they're losing or not getting some of the live income that they were expecting, because that's what we've got to remember as well, is artists rely on that live income.
Yeah, if it's not like streaming, which is obviously always going to be there if you're consistently putting out. And even streaming was affected by COVID, because I was doing some research and it was saying a lot of the streams that artists were getting were dropping. So people weren't listening to music as much because people aren't commuting. When people are commuting, they listen to a lot more music.
Yeah.
Then a lot of artists are dropping records and it's not gaining as much traction because there's no clubs. So people aren't going to clubs and hearing A Demon Time by Say So popping, or Millions is playing in the club and everyone's going crazy. So the spread of music was slowing down, so the streaming side was even dwindling. So a lot of the time it is live that a lot of artists just make their bread off.
That's it, and it was this, the habits of consumption changed. Like you said, there was no commutes. People are at home all the time, so maybe they're watching more.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a strange one because that's still changing now, I guess. It's like now you're seeing a lot of things blowing up via TikTok, obviously, and other stuff like that. So like the way people are consuming music or finding music, discovering it, is kind of still changing. We're all still kind of looking at this
still
every
evolving,
day.
Yeah,
we're still looking at this every day and thinking like, what how are the listeners' habits changing, and how are people discovering music differently. And some people, there's winners and losers as with everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's some people that have managed to really tap into the new ways in which, and there's others that are having to kind of try and find new ways as well. So it's interesting. It's fertile ground. It's like, as with any kind of crisis, there's opportunities, and I think that's for all of us as well in our work, in artist work with promoters and stuff. Is like whilst this has been hard for everyone, people have been forced to be innovative, and I think that's what the music industry has been good at as well. Is like adjusting and being innovative. Is full of very like creative, intelligent people. So it's been good to see that when everyone's had their backs up against the wall.
Yeah, facts. I've seen like loads of artists take to like, even besides like the brand partnerships, the Gucci's, the brands, the alcohol brands, etc. I've seen a lot of people tap into like gaming and YouTube. So I'm a big Fortnite fan. I play Fortnite, and my guys who are here, they play Fortnite with, man. So it was a thing where one of my favourite artists did a whole live concert on Fortnite during the first lockdown, Travis.
Oh yeah.
And he made dumb money, he made like an M or something off that. Do you get what I mean? And consistently during COVID, I was seeing like Anderson .Paak. He's got a live show on Fortnite, and other people are tapping into other gaming markets. People are doing cooking shows. People are just spreading themselves as an art form onto different platforms, which I felt like really helped artists gain a new market, gain a new bag as much as everything else. And you were even saying there was something that UTA set up, I think.
Yeah, I think they've placed, our brand partnerships team again placed Dominic Fike into Fortnite doing a live show on the Palace Royale or Battle Royale.
Yeah, Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Yeah. So, like you said, Travis did that first. Marshmello did that.
As well.
It was done for UTA as well. So it's a case of, that's a big thing for us. It's kind of like trying to see where we can cross-pollinate our artists, and are they interested in gaming? Are they on YouTube? Like, how can we help them to connect the platforms and to connect and to really start to monetize from using kind of the way that they can engage with the different platforms. And again, it's like some artists are willing to do that and are very nimble in that respect. Others, maybe they're not so interested in doing that sort of thing. So we still have to cater for those as well. And it's interesting, yeah. But Twitch has been good. Obviously,
Bring your mic a bit forward.
A lot of artists are on Twitch and gaming, and there's connections there. So I think as time goes on, we'll see more of that as well.
Yeah, facts. I think that's definitely something that people are gonna use more. I've seen also like your guys like DBE, they set up their own gaming channel and getting their fans involved as well, showing their personality and their character, and just really showing that it's our artist isn't just music, it's the other forms of art. Art as a whole is something bigger than just the music you put out. It's everything. There's so many layers to it. So yeah, man. Also, you mentioned before about the Offset and St. John.
That was one of the first. Well, it was the first ever Facebook Oculus Live thing that was done out the States, our team in the States, but it was Offset and Friends, and that was an all UTA roster lineup of Offset, Young Thug, Rich the Kid, and St. John.
Yeah.
And they performed live, and I think there was 1 million viewers, and they raised 325,000 meals for Atlanta Food Bank. So that's another way of showing how like the ingenuity and the innovation has led to some like really positive outcomes. So that's the one thing we've got to stick to, is there has been some really positive things to come out of this, and seeing the artists pivot has been interesting.
Yeah, man. I even seen Billie Eilish. She did something crazy on live as well, where she did some shows. She was selling tickets at £30, VIP tickets $1,000 to $5,000, and she made mad M's just off the live stuff. And I was like, bro, like, if you really know your market and know yourself as a brand, as an artist, you can really just tap into anything. So I think that it's good to see that that's how people were adjusting. Yeah,
and I think Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa, you've had like a lot of big artists really benefit from it.
Alo Park or something. I think that's a band. There's a band from Australia. I think they did some tours as well, and it was going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really working for some people, and I think the main thing as well is that this is probably here to stay. Like, even when COVID's over and people are back in rooms and like back at shows, I think there's some artists that will continue to
use the market.
Yeah, or maybe hybrid shows as well, where like you might be putting on a show at Village Underground where now you're selling stream tickets as well, so you can access people in Japan, in the Philippines, in Indonesia, whilst you've got a full room in London. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's some of the positives to come out of it as well. Is like a lot of these VR companies have been trying to sort of infiltrate the live music industry for a while, and people have tried it, yet it's not really caught on.
It's not caught on as much in the UK, especially. No. I even feel like during summer, Wireless, one of the biggest festivals to go down in the UK, they took to live stream with, I don't even know the company's name. What is it? Melody VR. They linked up with them and they did a whole live stream show. I had the privilege to do the show with Suspect.
Oh yeah.
So I went with Sus and I got to see how they did it, saw how they set it up.
How did you find it?
I found it cool. Like, obviously it was lit. Like, obviously me and Sus, we got a great bond, and you get me, we're turning up on stage. I'm hosting, he's doing his thing. We're just imagining the audiences in their toilet.
What was it like with no audience? How does it feel?
Like, see, for me, like, because I host, and like I can host right here in front of 4 man and get it lit. Like, do you get me? Like, so for me, it's like I'm just a ball of energy. I'm having fun, and so Sus. So it doesn't matter if there's 5 people or 1 million. It's still lit. But I know for a lot of artists who aren't used to that kind of presence or not having an audience who's receptive, that they would find it hard. Do you get what I mean? So for me, it was light. It was easy. It was like rehearsing. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Just making sure it's perfect. But it was fun. I couldn't complain, man. I couldn't complain at all. But I know there's a lot of artists who did blow up in that time who may have found it a bit like scary. Do you get what I mean? Like, bro, I've just blown up. Like, people know my song, but I'm performing to people I can't hear or see. Like,
on that point as well, it's interesting because normally if you're blowing up, then you need those live moments to connect.
Yeah.
Like, so you can, that success you're having online, you have a mad live show that everyone talks about online as well. Yeah. Footage getting shared, and that just like helps to
boost you.
Yeah, it fans the flames a bit. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of those artists now who are in that like school of 2020, like ready to graduate, some of them might be feeling like, oh, I've really missed out on a moment here. And
I don't even think they have. I think I get what you're saying, and it's like it's important that when you are got a hot song or you are bubbling, that you do connect, because there is that sharing element of, oh my gosh, I just went to this party and they booked Back Row G or they booked Say So or they booked whoever and he performed and it was crazy, it was lit. Look at this video. But now it's like, where is that element? But I still feel if you're consistently progressing and growing, it's better. I even think it's better that artists ain't even, they don't have that viral moment anymore, because it's like, fam, like there's a lot of artists who did blow up and were just called a one-hit wonder, where now it's like the fans are going to take you in and they're going to consistently look, and now the people have to, the artists also have to now monitor what they put out and be like, cool, like I can't just drop a banger and head over to get my bookings and get my 2K booking fee and turn up. It's now, I have to have something, some kind of what's the word? Some product.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we don't know when we're gonna come out of this. So
Yeah.
instead of being the one hit wonder, I need to be 5 hit wonders. You get me? I need to have that project that everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's that real.
That's it, and it's like it's forced people to think outside the box of how to connect their moments to other things to keep the flame.
Flame alive.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, I mean, yeah, it's interesting one. It's I think this summer, we're probably, it's not guaranteed yet. But obviously, saw Glastonbury pulled last week, I believe.
Glastonbury cancelled as well. I think there's a festival in Manchester. They moved to the winter.
It's neighbourhood, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They moved to the winter. I think Wireless is moving to the winter as well.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I think most of these festivals who are in June and July are holding backup dates, and that's been another big part of our job. Actually, is just like keeping track of all of these dates, because normally we're like working towards targets. And these are the target dates. These festivals exist on this same weekend, so especially for artists from abroad, if you're getting them over, then if they're doing Glastonbury, then they're going to be doing Roskilde in Denmark, and they're going to be doing a couple on that same weekend to make it financially viable for them. If you now start seeing certain festivals pull, then it makes it a bit different. But yeah, I think the ones that are holding backup dates in August, September, we're still optimistic about, and we're hopeful that with the vaccine rollout and mass rapid testing at these events, that things will go ahead. But when it comes to June, the ones in June, July that aren't moving, like Glastonbury, the hope is that they'll pivot and do what Wireless done and have some kind of streamed element, digital element, that so people can still engage with the event and like keep it going, which I think is important, to be fair.
No, definitely. I'm gonna head over to the guys in Clubhouse on that. I'm gonna shout Patrick, see what his thoughts are on how Dice, the ticketing platform, dealt with COVID. Yo, Patrick, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well, man. We're live right now. So, yeah, man, obviously, introduce yourself, explain who you are. I kind of did a little bit, but you can give yourself the props. You know?
Yeah, I think I might have missed you giving me the introduction. But yeah, I'm the artist lead at Dice. So I handle all the artist partnerships, primarily in the UK, but in this sort of post-streaming world, it's been a very global thing. And yeah, I've been at Dice for like 5.5 years, so it's one of the earliest employees, really. So really building from the foundations up, and it felt like a really good moment at the start of last year. We just signed a partnership with Primavera in Barcelona. Just worked on big pre-sales and exclusives with Tyler in like Italy, and worked with ASAP in Paris. I think that's just before. When did ASAP have this situation in Sweden? I think it's just before that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a long time ago now. But yeah, man, it's been obviously a really sort of crazy time where we've just had to sort of think on the feet. You guys were chatting about it a minute ago, and like think really innovatively and creatively, because I think the people that haven't done this in this moment just won't really survive, if I'm honest. So yeah, I think January, February, we're like really motoring along, and then obviously, I think we started to catch word of it mainly out of Italy, because we've got an office in Milan.
Okay.
And the lockdown started to really impact. I don't know if you remember, shows getting shut down in Italy. Like our guy who runs it over in Milan, all his shows are just suddenly like in jeopardy.
Yeah, Fashion Week was something that got cancelled, and everyone was like looking forward to that, because it's usually Paris, London, Milan that everyone goes to, and it was like Milan's like a no-go area. They got the disease, the COVID thing. Stay away.
Yeah. And that was it then. It was like, okay. And I feel like the UK was maybe a little bit late. Like, I don't think anyone was believing it. And then suddenly it all just became really real. And what was quite surprising for us, so for anyone that's not familiar, Dice is a ticketing company, first and foremost, was the ticket sales weren't really impacted for a minute. Like it was like a lag. So like people were just, I think, believing that it was just going to be 2 weeks. And then the reality started to set in, and then for us it was like a minute of, okay, how do we think on our feet here? And really got to shout out some of our partners mainly across the pond in LA, that were quick to start thinking about digital events. And you guys were mentioning it earlier around like Instagram lives. We did a big festival called Room Service, which had like a real array of like hip hop and then, that sort of electronic beat stuff that does really well in the States. Some really big names on that. And I think for us, it was like, okay, like this is a streaming event, but people are using Dice in the same way that they would for a live show. So that was like really exciting. And then, the momentum just built, man. And we kind of built out what we call a squad at Dice to just focus on it. So it's just like a member of each department. So like me that works with artists, a marketing person, a few people from our product team, all just like banging our heads together and working out how to make streaming a great thing. And honestly, from there, it just grew and spiraled in a positive way. And I think throughout like March and April, we were really, really focused on just free streams. Like in that, that moment of just volume where everyone was going live on Instagram, everyone was going live on Twitch, everyone was going live on YouTube and all these different things. And it was like a volume game and learning a lot. But I think then throughout summer, like you said, people were starting to do things again. So it was then like trying to think strategically, like working with all our partners, whether they're in the sort of hip hop space, whether they're in the UK rap space, whether they're in like the dance music space, and thinking how can we help them continue to build their brand, continue to build their databases in this moment, so that when live does return, it hasn't been sort of a wasted moment for them. So that was a big thing. I think the other thing that was quite strange in summer was, and you guys were mentioning it a minute ago, we were looking across to Italy, we were looking across at Spain, where we've got presence in like Barcelona and Madrid. And they were throwing parties again. Like
that's true. Because I even went to with Novelist. I went with Nov. I think it was Primavera. It was Bam. I think. It was one of them.
But I
But I remember it was social distance, and
like
we went there, everyone just spread about, but people are still doing parties. Like there was even a Barcelona game going on that.
Like, you lot are back. Like you can't have everyone, but you still have people.
Yeah. Forum in Barcelona.
Yeah. And near the beach as well.
So like a few things are happening in it as well. Like in London, one of our venue partners, Night Sales, were like quick because they had a great setup because there's tables, there's the outdoor space, so there's the ability to socially distance, and they did some great stuff. Like obviously, it was a bit of a whack decibel limit on the sound. But they managed every party they were putting up was selling out instantly. Like we've never seen sales so quick there, which is obviously great because for people like us guys on the call, we know that when life does return, people are just going to be pressing that big red button straight away and like hitting it. And so that was great. And then I think you mentioned it before, so like everyone started getting a bit of a taste, thinking, okay, well we're going to be back in this in winter and like doing shows again, and then things slip quite quickly, and that's kind of up to where we are now. I think maybe we'll touch on it in a minute, but the sort of prospect of hybrid shows is something that really excites us at Dice, excites me as well, just personally, and having like chatting to artists and the capability to launch a new tape, launch a new project, and do like a small intimate party, but also stream that out around the globe. Like that's going to be an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's something that James was mentioning before. Like you could do maybe a village underground, maybe socially distant, which is like a 600 cap venue. You could do that kind of a venue and then stream the rest of the show, the tickets, if it sells out to the rest of the world, Thailand, Spain, Australia, etc.
People that wouldn't want to be able to get into that show.
That's it. Like, I mean, we've worked on some big high profile pay-per-views and more in the sort of like pop singer songwriter space with even like Kylie Minogue and with Laura Marling. And like, I remember chatting to their manager, and he was essentially saying, there's so many places in the world where you don't tour. because you don't tour because it's so expensive to get crew over there. It's just not a financially viable thing. So being able to create a sort of streamed event that feels in some way personalized for them is only a really great thing. But I also think like on the ground level, it's going to be really interesting when we have live back and there's people thinking about streams all the time as well. Because I think artists are going to break very differently. Like, yes, you'll have that sort of groundswell from it, like being at parties, being at clubs, playing small shows. But then, if it's been streamed and you're building a following on Twitch and that's like, I don't know, engaging with people in Indonesia, it's going to be wild because, all the typical touring patterns are going to change, I think. It's not going to be, okay, you build your name in the UK and then you go to Europe and then maybe we'll do like New York and LA and then see where we're at and then maybe we'll go and do an Australia tour and pick out a few Asia dates. I think it's just going to be crazy. Like anyone can go anywhere. And I think that could be a really... What's that?
I feel the same. I feel like, as you're saying, like some artists might not be hot in their hometown
or wherever, but they'll be the biggest thing, or like on the radar in like a Taiwan or India or.
You get on this for a lot.
Did you get what I mean?
Blowing up because they've been on a Philippines playlist or
Yeah.
a Taiwanese playlist, and they've got mad numbers, but it's not really around here.
Yeah, and then the tour, as you were saying, Patrick, the touring pattern will change where it'll be like their last date and probably their smallest show might be the UK, but they're just selling out a 3,000 in Shanghai and that. It's all mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's totally mad, and I think it's gonna take live to return to really understand the impact of streaming. I think obviously people have done it for as a bit of a stopgap. People have done it. Most of the streams that we're working on at Dice at the moment are around artist campaigns. Like if they've got a record coming out, if they've got a mixtape coming out, they're putting the stream out on the sort of day of release to make it a bit of a moment. But I think
So with those, Patrick, what are you doing? Are you kind of looking to capture the data for those artists so that when things do return, they've not used that moment wastefully. They've done a live stream. Maybe it might not be ideal for them to perform without an audience. However, they've used your platform to capture a load of email addresses or a load of people that are going to come next time.
Yeah, it's a bit of that. I'd say there's 2 or 3 things really. There's like the bigger artists are doing, pre-order the record for access to the stream, or pre-order the record to get a reduced ticket for the stream, and that sort of approach. And selling straight up tickets for it. Some smaller artists and some more creative artists, maybe emerging artists, are doing exactly what you say. Like they're putting on a stream event and they're looking to build data. And because if they can build data now, we can help them utilize that when live returns. And I think the third piece really is the social connection piece. Like artists, I think, are missing that real connection with their fans, and I think if you're putting out a stream or like a paid for stream in particular, yes, you might not reach like thousands and thousands, and you're not going to reach maybe even more than 20-25% of your fan base. But those 20% of fans that go are like your really true fans. So you're keeping to build that connection, and we know that those are the fans that move the needle. Those are the fans that sort of create the growth. So those are the 3 key things I think that the artists are thinking about at the moment when they're partnering with us on this.
Yeah, man, that's proper. I feel like as soon as we do come back out, like things are just gonna skyrocket to a whole nother level. Like there shouldn't be an empty show. A lot of clashes. I feel like there'll be too much of a demand as well, where your favorite 3 artists will be doing shows on the same day as maybe another artist who's like popping, but you've now got a Skepta, J Hus, and a D Block Europe doing a show on the same day as your up and coming acts as well, which will just be a bit annoying. Do you know what I mean?
But it's positive to take there in that a lot of these artists are putting tours on sale now for the future, and tickets are just selling out because there isn't appetite for people to come to get back at shows. Like Arlo Parks, she put her tour on sale. UK and Europe. UK sold out in a couple of hours. This was in the depth of the second lockdown as well.
Okay.
So like, you wouldn't have expected people to be like confident to buy a ticket However, people just want to get out and go back to shows. And I think that's the positive for all of us here on every side of the live game. It's like there is an appetite for people to come back out to shows as soon as they can safely. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I get DMs all.
True.
I get DMs all the time.
Oh, Mr. I'm next. We need you to put on a party. I just wanna hear "Welcome to the Party" one more time. I'm just like, yeah, you want me to get that 10 grand fine as well? No, but it's true because like even myself as a promoter, I put out with Crosstown. Shout out Crosstown as well, amazing guys. I put out a show for Lord Apex. His headline show sold out. I know Mira, we upscaled to a new venue, 600 caps, sold out. We're now looking like, okay, damn, like we might need to upscale again because people are just really dying for that experience and that they're just hoping that, okay, this is what's going to be out. I'm going to be the first to be there. I'm going to be the first. So like, obviously this is going to obviously yourself, James, like with the adjustments and how everyone's obviously adjusted to like the times and doing all the online stuff and etc. What are you guys as a booking agency looking towards the future, and how do you think the new regulations or after COVID, how that can affect the live industry? Like what kind of stuff do you think will be needed to maybe go to an event now? Because like there's all having a medication passport and making sure you got vaccines or you can't get in or you can't even travel now without certain things being in place.
That's what it sounds like. Like that's what we're hearing at the moment. I mean, we had the Eurosonic conference last week, or was it the week before? Which is always normally in Groningen in the Netherlands. It's always normally cold and wet, and people just going to watch artists for a week. But this time it was all done online, and they'd adapted. They had a whole platform online where you're there, you're talking to the people that. So I remember me and Simon Bailey from Crosstown were like sat there talking on the platform, whereas normally we'd be sat there having a drink
and like, yo.
You know what I mean? So like everyone's life is a lot different from it, but at the same time, the sense I got from a lot of the panels there was that, people were looking at a couple of things. One, like rapid testing at events. Like the testing's getting to the point now where they can turn these tests around quickly, like very quickly. And whether there's a couple of points that we need to consider there. Is the cost of the test going to
affect the artist or the promoter?
Yeah, or is the consumer going to have to take it on?
Okay.
So if you're normally getting a festival ticket for £220, but a rapid test costs you £20 as well, is a festival ticket going to cost more? And then the second thing is health passes and vaccination passports, which is one of the things I'm hearing a lot recently is that most of these festivals are gonna. I think there was even an article just before Christmas about Ticketmaster requiring people to connect their Ticketmaster account to their health passport, and then you'd have to basically prove that you've been vaccinated to be able to buy a ticket in the first place. So who knows yet whether it's going to be vaccinations, whether it's going to be rapid testing, combination of the two, one or the other. We don't know, but I think what we can see is that it's going to be a part of the future. There is the future of getting into a festival or getting into a show is probably going to look a little bit different to like it was in the past. It's not like we're just going to go back and roll in like we used to. Which, like it or not, it's
here now, isn't it?
It's here now, and people want to get back to shows. I'm sure
they'll do whatever it takes.
I know I will. Do you know what I mean?
I even feel like with flying as well, that's going to be a big thing. Like I'm hearing that also going to borders and different borders are going to be asking you like, have you been tested? Can you prove it? Like, I think what you were saying, the health passport is going to be a big thing of the future, and going to shows and rapid testing is going to be a big thing because people don't want to have to be in tier 4 again, man.
That's it, yeah. And I think in the meantime, it's like, what can we do to keep things ticking over? And you probably saw it towards the end of last year when the tiers were on tier 1, tier 2. A lot of people started doing socially distant shows. And I remember speaking to artists who were like, no way am I doing a socially distant show. And then you get to like November, December time and they've got a release coming out and they're like, actually, do you know what? Fuck it, I might just do a socially distant show. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, in the lockdown we're in now, tier 5 or national, I lose track of where we're actually at.
Yeah, tier 9.
When that hopefully lowers in the spring, if things improve, then I'm sure you'll see that again. Like, hopefully over the summer there'll be some social. I know in Germany, for example, that their whole summer was like picnic shows, socially distanced festivals. They were using festival sites to like have separated audiences. They did the Virgin Money Arena shows in Newcastle where they had socially distant shows. I remember like a lot. Of
Yeah, I remember seeing the one online, and it was like, it looked like, you know, when you go to a farm and everyone's in pig pens.
Yeah.
It looked like that, like everyone's in the pig pen looking at the audience, and then
Yeah.
there's like an alleyway. I'm like, you can come out, you can't. It's crazy, but I feel like as soon as summer gets closer, we'll maybe start to see the tiers come down, socially distant shows come about. People will be more active and more wanting to just be out because we've been inside for so long.
Yeah, people crave that connection, don't they?
Yeah, man.
Both the artist and the fan.
The fan.
Crave that connection. So it's like, whilst it's not ideal to not be like dancing with 10 of your friends in close quarters, and the artist being able to throw water at you, or you being able to throw.
I was gonna pour gallons of water on people.
Yeah, whilst that might not be allowed right now, then they'll be adapting. There'll be lesser audiences and socially distant shows. And I mean, some acts will really
thrive from it.
Thrive from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like guys like Slow Tie, who's like got cult fans, and like all these other artists as well. Like their fans will just be there. I feel like there's a lot of artists whose fans they don't care. Like, and even if not, you can do a socially distant show and just max out on your merch sales.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like that's still a ticket. As much as like maybe not being able to watch it, you can watch it from your crib, but come and buy merch, or watch it from your crib and still do your meet and greet.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You can still connect with your fans even though there isn't a show. You can do a meet and greet tour. Like, I'm gonna just meet and greet all my fans across the UK and sign CDs and cassettes and sell them.
And there's that, and then even with the live stream stuff, there's a lot of platforms now which are allowing
you to sell merch as well.
Exactly. And Patrick will probably tell us what they're doing with Dice, but I know that a lot of these live stream platforms are allowing that, where if I'm sitting there watching the act, I can purchase their merch. I can purchase a record. Yeah. And like it allows the artist to monetize a bit as well.
Yeah.
And that's another thing we'll just continue to see adapt and grow. Interested to know what Dice are actually doing in that space.
Yeah, Patrick, you're live.
Yeah. So I was just going to say on the merch and record thing, it's such a huge part of it now, man. Like, I mean, on the big scale, like we work with Kylie Minogue and sold a load of her records. And that went straight to number one, but then like Bicep as well this week. That's been a cool campaign because they did a stream in, I think it was like November, and it was just them and like pretty low key setup, and it was the first chance really to hear all the new music from their new album. They'd only got one single, so I think for fans, like they have a very like, their fans are obsessive about knowing the tunes and like, you know, getting Shazam out and making sure they know the tunes.
Yeah.
So they did this whole show, which is all like essentially at the time unreleased music, which kind of really captivated the audience. And then off the back of that, like we did a bit of fan research, spoke to all the fans that go, like what did they like, what did they want improving, and they stuck up another stream, which is kind of a bit of an anomaly. Like it's been up for probably about 6 weeks now, and it's not until the end of Feb. But ran album bundles on Dice as well, and I think they're like going to be charting in the top 2 today, which for signed to an independent record label, a DJ act. They don't have a single vocalist on the record. Like it's obviously worked really well. So yeah, the record side of it is, you know, that I'd say most of the artist-led streams that we're doing at the moment for these events have records as part of the ticketing mechanic. Like you can buy a stream ticket, but you can also get a cheaper ticket if you bought the record, and they'd put. Like it's so true. We work with a band, and we work with, to be honest, a lot of people have done merch. The best examples of merch that I've seen are where it's something that's like totally exclusive, totally limited, and limited to the only people that are gonna watch the stream. So I guess like kind of, you know, replicating a live show experience where you can only buy that certain piece of merch if you've gone to at the show. Like I remember some of the best merch that I've seen was when Kanye was doing like the Life of Pablo, and you know it had all the Life of Pablo stuff on it, but also it would be like Birmingham O2 Arena date. And it was just like, you could only get that item and that date.
At that,
And
yeah.
and I think it's old school stuff. You know what I mean? It's like very old school thinking. But I think making it quite limited, making it feel like a drop, like everyone's used to drops nowadays, and making it feel like it could sell out. That's what we've seen. That's when people have really done well on merch. When it's just available on their website as well as being available at point of purchase, no one really cares. But I think making it feel really exclusive. I was going to just ask on one point. On James, I was going to say like on socially distanced events, how does it feel? You mentioned artists are kind of changing their dynamic towards it. I'm like, does it feel like more are going to be thinking about it throughout the summer and throughout the rest of the year?
I think it's just a case by case basis. Like some artists who have a release and they want a live moment to connect that to, whether it's in front of a small audience or not. They're like, okay, now I need to be able to perform that live in order to
Get that feeling again.
Exactly. And then others who are just like, I need to just get out and do something. And like some people have been up for it from the start, and some artists it would suit. There's like a couple of bands that I work with where actually like I wouldn't mind sitting there on a table having drinks served to me
while
I'm
listening
watching
to them.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's those acts that it really benefits. If
I think comedians could thrive from socially distant shows and
exactly.
Some comedy stuff, but I also think like someone with an amazing voice, where it's just all about like the voice. Like I was thinking, especially like, or even like a Brent Fires, something like that could work well.
Yeah,
Socially distanced thing.
definitely.
The only issue with the social distance thing is that it's not very lucrative for anyone. Like,
Yeah.
You guys won't know that.
Yeah.
That costs so much that you normally need to sell X amount of tickets, and now you can only sell 30% of X. How are you paying the rent of the building? How are you paying the staff? How are you paying the security? How are you paying the artist?
yeah,
How are you paying your rep?
your promo budget.
Exactly. But at the same time, it keeps the ecosystem alive. And like speaking to the guys at DHP, Josh Ward and Conrad there,
Shout them out as well.
Yeah, they've been doing the shows at Garage and Oslo, and that's kind of they're not trying to make any money. They're just trying to keep people in jobs.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like
even Lucinda, shout the Islington Assembly lot. They hit me up on we can do the venue cap's $890, but we could do like a 300 socially distant show, and we have live stream facilities. Is that something you're in? We're not even just trying to make bread. We're just trying to stay alive. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. And then the next tier came, and I was like,
because then your security guys getting paid, your bar staff's getting paid,
and then there's still hope that like we can still come back and be lit again.
That's it. It's just one of those things that keeps the hope alive. And yeah, I mean, social distance shows not ideal. However, given the predicament, in some cases you're now looking at them.
I feel like
something I was just going to say. I think something that we've been toying with, and it'd be good to get your thoughts on this, like doing 2 shows in one day, so like a matinee essentially.
Yeah.
Because then the venue height, reducing cost a little bit that way. Looking at, I think the venue there's got to be a way to like order on the phone, because we had it one of our venues, they just weren't taking enough in terms of booths. Like, so just thinking of that side of things as well. But I think the concept that I've been thinking about in my head is having a matinee, having a show, and then streaming it as well. And then hopefully, there you might be able to increase the revenues a little bit. It's obviously not going to be the same as a 95% sellout, but it's a different offering. So that's something that we're doing.
Virgin Money Arena guys were doing when they had like Libertines, for example, in Newcastle, and they would do an afternoon show and an evening show.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good idea, having that as well. But I don't know how they would tackle, as you were saying, the booze kind of situation of the bar making some sort of money, because right now it's just unless the venue's getting the higher fee and the artist is getting the online stuff, it's kind of very hard for the venue to really find something that's gonna cover their bills really.
Charge a high ticket price as well.
Yeah,
that's it. For that to work, it needs to be a high ticket price. And I think the positive is that fans understand that. And it's just one of those.
It's almost like it needs to be treated like, I don't know, I've seen mates that have put on parties in like Dubai or whatever, where you pay like a pretty crazy fee, but it's a table and you get a couple of bottles and
Treat it like a club night.
yeah, I guess like a proper like table service vibe.
Yeah.
That's the only way in which it's viable. Because like, if you do sell a table of 6, and it's like a bill 50, but you get a bottle, and your mandem's there, then cool, innit?
What are you thinking? If things start settling down in May, June, July?
In summer, if stuff comes back, like I'm going crazy with the socially distant shows. But the way I'm personally gonna tackle it is keep the live element. So I'll have someone lit. Like I'll have someone lit perform and turn up. But instead of me worrying about just alcohol, I'm looking at food. Everyone loves food. Like I would love to go to, like, even before COVID, I was like, fam, like I would definitely go to a party, get yacked, get lit. It's crazy. And then before I leave, there's some guy selling me jerk chicken or whatever. I'm paying. What? It's lit. It's lit. I'm getting the fried fish and the hard-boiled bread and the gravy, and I'm blowing out, and I'm spending that. But if you can package that within your ticket, and it's like you're paying your ticket to come to the show, you're getting a drink and you're getting food. And if you want to spend more money, you can order someone to get you another bottle or another plate of food. You're back. And then you got merch as well. It's all about the experience. It's not simple maths as it was before. Ticket in, it's lit, throw water, mosh pit, woo. Now it's lit. The fans need to walk away with something more than just I stand there and I turn up and it needs to be, I'm getting juiced, I'm getting food, I'm getting merch, I'm getting all forms of merch. Anything, everything, I'm getting it all. And I'm going away with a killer experience. And if I want, I can go home and replay the whole show and watch it live, but I pay like £3, £4. Calm. It's all about monetizing every form and making the whole experience lit. Like when you go theatre, it's like you go there, you get popcorn.
Interval.
You get me? There's an interval, ice cream. It's basically taking it old school. Do you get what I mean? Because that's how theatres make money. They sell their tickets, but then they'll go there. They got merch. There's an interval, ice cream, popcorn, sweets, all of that. You get me? They walk around. They go to the toilet. They must probably pay £1 to use the toilet. Then they come back, sit down. I want more popcorn. You get me? Oh yeah, my guy. You get it? Yeah. So it's really taking it old school and looking at what was there before where we were now, and taking the bits from the past and bringing it to the present, and the bits on what we think the future's gonna hold and bring it. I definitely think
it's interesting what you're both saying there about merch as well, because it's like, yeah, if say the stats at the moment are saying if you're doing a live stream show, then maybe only 10% of your fan base will tune in. Like say you could normally sell 1,000 tickets, then maybe 100 would turn up to live stream. If, like you say, you incentivize them with a exclusive piece of merch that no one else will ever get, will that increase the numbers? Will you see more people?
Yeah, of course, because that's what America was doing to boost their charting stuff. They were selling merch with their album release, and that's boosting their chart numbers. So it's like, even during lockdown, D Block Europe did a pop-up. They did 3 dates and sold out, basically. Like 3 dates of kids lining up, spending £30, £30, £50 on a hoodie. They're getting the t-shirt signed. They're paying for their VIP ticket. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's all about giving the fans more than just that one experience. Like, do you get what I mean? And if you're an artist who doesn't think like that, you'll suffer, because you don't know how to monetize off your brand. And I feel like artists need to look at themselves more than just, I'm an artist, but I'm a product, I'm a brand. There's many things I can place my name, my branding on, and move it.
Nail on the head. It's exactly what we were saying at the start. It's like, this is force people to have to be creative and have to come up with intuitive and
really be an artist and just, I make music.
Yeah, but then the flip side of that is some artists are like, I just make music, I'm good at making music. So unless they have a team around them to help them realise those visions, and it's hard. So I understand from an artist perspective as well why they might be listening to this conversation being like, for fuck's sake, I just want to make the tunes.
Yeah, but it really comes down to you as a team, because not one artist does everything for themselves. They got a manager, they got someone who handles branding and product placement and product design and rare-tear. Do you get me? So it's really just having that setup as well behind you, so you can move forward and adapt to any form of issues that might come up. But yeah, Patrick, we're gonna wrap up soon. I'm just gonna ask you: is there anything else you wanna say, or anything for the future that Dice is maybe looking at that you've not said already?
Like, yeah, probably spoke about streaming quite a lot, but I mean, in the summer we've just been doing a lot of work really to get back to live. A lot of work with our venues. There's a lot of people. I've been focused on streaming, but there's a lot of people at Dice that have done incredible work, like working with the promoters, working with the venues, helping them get the grants, helping them, in any way that we can help them. So really excited to see like the hard work that's gone in there come into fruition. I guess I think where we're really pinning things is like this hybrid world. Without going on a rabbit hole too much, I think we're like quite excited about gigs returning because we're working with a lot of the venues that we work with. Like obviously, Sesha, you mentioned Lucinda and the guys at Islington, and then there's the guys at like Scala. But we're doing this globally, so there's venues in New York, in LA, in some of our key cities through Europe, where we're actually working with them to get streaming kit built into the venue, so that you're doing I don't know, what was the show we were going to do? The Pierre Bourne show. You do that with us. I don't know, our new venue in the Hackney Church or Scala, and they've got streaming kit in, and we do that show. We film the show, and that goes out live to fans around the world, and they can watch that show. So you're going up with tickets. You might have your VIP ticket, your queue jump ticket, your normal ticket.
Then you got your stream ticket.
Your online ticket, and that's building both Pierre's audience globally. It's building our audience globally. It's building your brand, your promoter brand globally. And that's kind of where we're really seeing things. Like in football, before Sky came in and bought all the rights to football, people were saying this is going to be a really bad thing for gigs. No one's going to go to gigs. No one's going to go to football games, sorry. But that's only helped to sort of amplify football because suddenly everyone watches it. You never watch football and go, fuck, I don't want to go and watch that in the crowd. Like, I only just want to watch it on my sofa. Like, that's not what you think. It's the opposite. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with music. It's like, if you watch an amazing show, if you watch Pierre Bourne and you're looking at it and the crowd's going mad and you're thinking, this is amazing, I need to be at the next one. So it's like, it then sort of, people are going to create a new revenue stream from streaming that's also going to help to like market future events. And that's
based on what you just said, I feel like as well with that is like you're gonna have your diehard fans that is gonna be like, I'm going to every show. I can't be in Germany because I'm in Australia, but I'm gonna watch it online. I will pay my $6, $8, whatever.
Yeah, that's it, man. And that's something that we're really excited about. And I think just like for us, it's just gonna be a case of building and growing throughout Europe. There's a lot of moves being made in America at the moment, particularly in New York, which is something that's going to be really exciting. And then for me personally, I just can't wait to just go out again. Straight up, like, Dice stuff aside, I just want to be back. I was thinking when you mentioned the Pierre Bourne show, like we were obviously there in the Village Underground, just being like back on the streets and seeing it. Shoreditch on like a Tuesday night packed because everyone's going to different shows and whatnot. But that's what I miss.
Cool, man.
I need to shout you anyway. I'm next tour and that's lit.
Yes, let's do it, man. Nice one for this.
Yeah, man, no problem. And if there's anyone in the audience who want to ask any questions, you might as well put your hand up. But James, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to say?
No. I want to echo Patrick's positivity there. Is like I think at the end of the day, whilst it's been a difficult year and maybe a difficult couple months ahead, things are looking good for the future. It's like if now artists have extra revenue streams that have opened up as a result of the difficulties that they've gone through over the last year, then that's fantastic. It's like a presentation from LWE who have Printworks and Tobacco Docs a couple weeks ago, and they've got some incredible like technology built in now where they've got they can do full virtual gigs, but at the same time hybrid gigs when they come back in the autumn hopefully. So you'd have a full audience there. And then there's one room where they can go in and put VR headsets. Seshi loves the VR headsets. So for anyone in the audience, like we spent 2 hours playing
Headmaster on PS4
VR games here. But yeah, like it's about technology. It's like if you can go to a gig and you can put on a VR headset in one room and speak to some audience members in Taiwan that have paid, like it's a whole nother level of connectivity. And like it's a whole nother level of community, which is what artists and their fans are about. It's about creating a community around that artist. So if coming out of this, that community is expanded, artists are reaching more people, they're making more money as a result of that, promoters are making more money as a result of that, venues are, the whole ecosystem's thriving because of it, then in 5 years' time we'll look back on this and we'll go, it really changed the game. And things are now different, but let's take the positives.
Yeah, word.
So yeah, I just think it's about technology. Technology's going to change, but if we embrace it on all levels, then quite quickly we could see like a much more flourishing industry as well.
Yeah, man. I even think as well, something that I just remembered after you saying the VR headsets and that, during the middle of COVID, people were banging headphone parties.
Yeah.
That they were just going crazy, doing headphone parties in the park, all these kind of things. And that's like, okay, wait, that's a whole market that people don't access as much because they want to just blare the music out loud. But COVID's brought that creativity again. Like, oh, you remember headphone parties? Yeah, like that's a market that I feel like people need to tap in still. But like, going based on what you're saying, I feel like there's gonna be some great positives. Tickets are gonna be flying, shows are gonna be going off, crowds are gonna be jumping. I'm gonna be crowd surfing. I'll be throwing water. It's gonna be lit. But yeah, man, there are some positives. It's just getting to that stage where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And I think we will be able to pretty soon.
Yeah, man.
Like we're in a better position than we were in April, May last year.
Yeah, facts.
So we just got to put one foot in front of the other. And as Seshi always says, keep swimming.
Just keep swimming and turn up and open that mosh pit, man. But yeah, man, thank you for joining the I Am Next show. Myself, Mr. I Am Next. Shout out James, UTA, big up yourself. And shout out Patrick from Dice. You get me? We're here. And remember, if you're watching this, like, share, and subscribe. And you already know I Am Next. We keep coming with these conversations. It's lit. Go crazy, Arrow.
Make sure you tune into the I Am Next show. You already know it's crazy. You already know.